You know, when Cape Nature was established in 1999, I happened to be on the board at that stage. So I've had a long relationship, sometimes more closer than others, you know, sometimes on the margin fringes, but I've always had some sort of relationship with Cape Nature in my work. I used to work with South African National Parks for 5 years, and then it was, you know, the conservation entity arena. And after that, working for the Department of Environmental Affairs, Cape Nature was one of our service providers in one way or the other. When we look at Cape Nature now, we take care of 5 marine protected areas, and that was my links with Cape Nature over the last 5 years.
From the marine side?
From the marine side.
But now there's the land side as well. What does it encompass, Cape Nature?
Well, we the Conservation Protection Agency for the Western Cape. So we take care of the whole entire landscape, protected areas. There's something like 43 pockets of land that stretches over about 2 million hectares right across the province. And then there's also the 5 marine protected areas. So there's a lot of land that we conserve, and I don't have my figures correct now, but it's something like 20% of the Western Cape surface area that we take care of. And it's an estate that is much larger than Kruger National Park, you know, so it's quite substantive. So, and when I say we take care of it, we look at the conservation aspects of it, looking at how it's managed in terms of the particular legislation, Protected Areas Act in particular, and then also provincial legislation as such.
If we go further up the coast, do you go up to the west coast as well, all those marine areas
yes,
of yours?
Yes, there's quite a few.
Acerfontein is part of it,
as
isn't it?
well. There's quite a broad spectrum. Well, you know, if we look at it from west to east, so west coast, you come up there's quite a lot, and then it will include aspects that Sandparks manages, like the West Coast National Park. That will not be included. But most of the other sections thereof, and it's actually strange, you know, that you have the national provincial interface, or it might seem strange for the person, the layperson, but how it's done legally is you look at the surface area, and you look at the biodiversity value, and we have particular criteria in terms of size that's assigned to provinces to take care of, and we an entity of the provincial government, and obviously the national parks to take care of.
Partnerships, what kind of partnerships do you have? Who partners with you?
There are various, but one comes to mind in one of our reserves, which is one of our flagship reserves, the Whoop Nature Reserve, for example. We'll find that Cape Nature takes care of the biodiversity, the conservation, protected area management side. And then we have a business partner in terms of one of our public-private partnership, and that's the Whoop Collections. And what they do is they manage the tourism facilities.
How closely do you work with water affairs in so much as the pollution of rivers and the pollution of streams, which plays an enormous environmental part in the flora and fauna of the Western Cape?
We work very closely with water affairs in terms of our catchment management, which is one of our key programs for our scientific services, is looking at integrated catchment management, and there our major government department and partner is the Department of Water Affairs.
And other environmental agencies that are involved?
We work then with the Department of Environmental Affairs as well, because you know, closely involved in integrated catchment management is taking care of estuaries, So estuaries is your interface between your sea and river, and that's where environmental affairs comes in. We also do work with the Department of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries, because you know, the breeding spaces of fish are estuaries. So there's all those government departments, we do work with them here. We work very closely with the Western Cape Environmental Affairs Department, very close. In fact, we do strategic planning together. We're just about to go into one soon for the next 5 years. They also have a non-voting seat on our board, so they come to all our board meetings and the board committee meetings. So we work very closely together with them.
There is also an area that we haven't really discussed as well, which works sort of almost on your doorstep as your neighbour, your cousin, and that's the farming community.
Yeah.
Now, you must have to work with them as well. And farmers have one intent in life, and that's protect their crops and also the water situation and so on. With you on their back doors and on their, how closely do you work together?
Very close. In fact, we have a stewardship program that it works very simply. You know, I said at the beginning that we have this huge estate, about 20% of the land, and that includes stewardship areas. Now that's largely farms where there's great biodiversity value. So we work with these farmers very closely. They undertake, we go into a formal agreement with them where they sign. We help them in terms of clearing the farm of alien vegetation, and then helping them to develop a conservation management plan for that piece of land that they own, but they manage it in a conservation-wise and sensitive manner. And that actually adds to the 20% of the Western Cape that's conserved. Nowadays, I don't think we're in a position to go for fencing around, you know, the old way of conservation where you had land set aside just for conservation. We have huge problems in terms of population. You can't. So we need to look at other ways of conserving, and that is one manner that Cape Nature, it's quite successful. In fact, it's a model that is now taken up nationally to look at, to expand the conservation estate by looking at you know, including conservation management principles out there in those landscapes that are privately owned.
Having just taken over this position, you must have a vision of what you want to do. I mean, if you had a little bucket list and a wish list of short and medium term, what would those things be that you would look for?
That's it's a very good question. I mean, I really like to see us becoming that cutting edge, you know, world-class entity in terms of biodiversity conservation. But when I say that, I also have my the other elements of that very much entrenched. When we talk about looking after nature, we can't just talk about the bio aspects, the living side. We need to be realistic and look at the sustainability of that. So for me, access is a very important factor. And how do we get access to our reserves? You know, via tourism, people. So in terms of sustainable development, we're talking about the living, which is the biological side. We're talking about people, and then the economic side and access and our tourism facilities to bring people there and to strengthen that. So I would really like to take us to another level. It's not that Cape Nature has been doing bad as such. It's a very, very good organization that has that's on a good footing.
It needs to go up a level now.
I think we are really at that stage where we can up that in terms of all three legs of sustainability.
Let's end our very pleasant interview with me giving you a wish. What would that wish be for your department?
For Cape Nature? Wow, sure. Uh, where we could have, and I'm not going to dwell on the money, but where we could have the leeway and scope to take conservation to another level, fully resourced with a government that will back us in terms of our mandate, and a staff. We do have a passionate staff, but that that one could take them along, so your people, the resources working for the cause. I must say that I don't have like something that I want to put in the corner and go and stand and rub it with my genie oil. I came to Cape Nature not with my eyes closed. I know what type of organization this is. It's an organization with 70% plus of the work of the staff passionate about their work, really. And I spoke to Minister van Skalkwyk last week. He phoned me to
Martinez,
yes,
yeah.
and he said when he was premier, and that was some time ago, he obviously he knows about the entity. There were problems in the past, etc. But he knows that this is a good entity for conservation. I said, yeah, I'm actually fortunate to have been given the opportunity to work here, because I've been to all 8 regions. I've engaged with all staff in the different 8 areas they call it. And all I saw was passion. I didn't see any people like walking around not wanting to be there. So the people are there because they love what they're doing. I hope that I can just enthuse them a bit more and provide them with the resources and work with them to obtain the resources that would make their work easier, because they're here because they want to be here. So yeah, we got a lot of work cut out. I mentioned, for example, compliance as an area that we need to work. We need to be vigilant of things to come, for example, fracking, etc. Those types of things. That's reality. We need to look out in terms of development and unplanned development and be ready for that. We have a lot of challenges. It's not that there's none, but I think the commitment of the people are here. There's a fantastic, highly skilled management team. I think what they need is also enthusiasm and guidance and leadership, to lead their teams. But the 2 weeks that I've been here has been really good weeks. I mean, I come to work and I don't want to actually leave. There's a lot to do, but you do it with a song in your heart